Unterweger.
Unterweger.
Unterweger. Unterweger.
Anyway, what are we doing here, Chris?
I ask myself that question every day. Do you mean here in your house, or do you mean in life in general on this planet? What are we doing?
I would say, what are we recording
when
for?
you were, I thought you were asking a big.
It's not a deep philosophical
existential crisis.
I didn't know why I was in my house.
What are we doing here? Why?
Well,
I'm Chris,
and I'm Christian,
and this is Echo One,
a true crime podcast.
What are we talking about today, Christian?
I think we're talking about a killer, a bad killer. No, he's a good. Well, to be fair, as a killer, he's probably quite.
He was quite good.
He's good at what he's doing.
Yeah, successful.
I guess.
Maybe.
Yeah, good.
Polymurderer.
Polymurderer, not just people called Polly. Leela Dallas multi-pass.
Multi-killer.
Yes. This is Johann Unterweger,
otherwise known as Jack.
No, I'm not calling him that. It's Johann. Fuck it. I'm not giving him a cool name like Jack. Hey, I'm Jack. I'm gonna attack.
And I'm back.
I need some crack
and a snack. And you just wiggity whack.
Yeah, that kind of. You went too far.
I can't.
You could have left it.
I can't wait for that bit to be in.
It will be, and that's what you're going to be known for. You're going to be wickety whack, Chris. Born in 1861. No, he was not. Born on August 16th, 1951. His mother was a Viennese prostitute. She abandoned him at birth.
That's not very nice.
And father was an unknown U.S. soldier. How do they know he's a soldier? Who knows? I don't know. The mother wasn't there to ask. So
no, I guess she probably told him, and he probably said,
"What told?" No, she abandoned him at birth. He was raised by the grandfather.
Oh, by the grandfather. Maybe the grandfather knew. The grandfather probably knew.
True. Well, he grew up living in extreme poverty in a one-room cabin.
Ooh.
His grandfather was an abusive alcoholic man.
That's nice. His dad. He never knew his dad because he was a soldier who left. His mum was a prostitute who abandoned him. So his best option to be raised with was an alcoholic, abusive grandfather.
Yeah,
it's not the best start, is it?
Well, still, these sort of things you sit there and go, "Oh, well, that's why." Nah,
I'm not giving him a pass. I'm just saying it's not ideal.
And he was a troubled kid. He had lots of run-ins with the police and the law, all the way up to when he was 16 in 1967, when he was arrested for violently assaulting a prostitute. There's a bit of a theme with Mr. Unterweger. He seems to not really like prostitutes.
He does. He seems to really like them, but also not like them at all.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because then over the next 9 years after he was 16, he was in and out of prison. Basically, he was in there 15 times for similar crimes.
Yeah.
And of those 9 years, only 12 months of them was spent free. So 8 years he was in and out of jail. So it was multiple. I thought a lot of countries had not a 3 strikes and you're out like America, but at least a thing of going, well, Mr. Unterweger, this is the 4th time you've violently beaten up a prostitute. We're going to give you a longer sentence.
But I think probably part of it is because they're prostitutes. We've mentioned this before, and it's a theme throughout history of crime that they're often not taken as seriously as if it was if it was like a wealthy woman or something like that. They'd probably it'd be more high profile.
True.
But also, I think it took a long time for like law enforcement to put together the connection between someone who maybe beats up a prostitute and the fact that could escalate eventually into more serious crime. They're like, well, he's just beating him up a little bit.
Margaret Schaefer, she was 24. No, she was 18-year-old prostitute. She was German. He basically, with his friend, she was a friend of his girlfriend, Barbara Schultz, and him and Barbara Schultz lured her to the woods. And then after she rejected his sexual advances, he strangled her with her own bra. And, well, first he beat her with an iron bar.
Yeah, beat her with an iron bar.
Then strangled her with her bra. And then stole from her parents' home. I think, I don't actually know the thing about that part of it. But Barbara Schultz, like he was arrested for this.
Yeah.
But Barbara Schultz, I don't know what happened. I've been trying to find out like whether she was just seen as an accessory, whether she was tried.
I couldn't get that either. I know she spoke. She came forward, didn't she?
She came forward. Yeah. In court, he said, "I envisaged my mother in front of me, and I killed her." Like, well, that's a great statement. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Well, at least, but I don't think anyone was in any doubt, like, that this was all about his mother. He was constantly focused on prostitutes, and his mother abandoned him and was one.
But it's weird, like, he was basically like, I felt like he was saying, I was only going to beat her a little bit with the bar, just a bit, because she turned me down. But then I saw my mother, so I beat her more and then killed her.
Yeah.
Like, that... You were already beating her with a metal bar. I feel like you'd already crossed the line.
And there was also a lot of shame involved, like leaving them like face up, naked.
Yeah. Covering with leaves and stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, but like,
covered her with leaves and stuff, I think.
So he was sentenced to life imprisonment. You think, oh, that's the end of it. But there was Marcia Horvath. She was found, I don't know how to pronounce the lake where she was dumped, but it's in Salzburg.
Can you spell it, just in case anyone, so people know?
Zachsee. Salzashi.
Yeah. I don't know how to say that either. I saw that written down. I just thought.
Marcia Horvath was found. Her body was found in exactly the same MO as Margaret Schaefer. They more or less knew that he did it, but because he was serving a life sentence, they didn't charge him at all.
No, that sounds fine. So basically, what happened was he killed someone, beat some other people up before, killed one, and then spent the rest of his life in prison. It was all fine.
Yeah, because basically she was strangled with stockings and a necktie.
Yeah.
So that's I think that's the main reason, and her body was dumped. So they go, well, the likelihood is he did do it.
Yeah.
But then there's obviously no point if he's just serving a life sentence. There's no point.
No.
Because she's dead.
And everything was fine after that, right?
Yeah,
that was okay.
And thank you everyone for
Thanks
listening to Echo On.
Good.
No.
Oh.
No.
I suppose we did. We ruined it in the start when I said he was a.
Well, the thing is, he did. He'd done for all intents and purposes, he did well. He over the next 14 years, he was illiterate when he went.
Yeah, I was going to say he couldn't read or write, could he?
No, he taught himself to read and write. But not only that, he became a writer and wrote short stories, plays, and even an autobiography.
Yeah, so he's like when some of his stuff was studied in schools, was performed.
His autobiography, basically translated as Purgatory. I can't speak German, so became a bestseller.
Yep.
Terminus Prison, which is another one of his, won prestigious literary prizes, and all the wankers of society. They're basically the high-end arty fucks who go, oh, this man's in prison, he's written a book, oh, it's really, 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 really deep and meaningful. Oh, he cannot possibly be a criminal. We have to petition for his release.
Yeah, they said that it showed that a man truly can be rehabilitated.
Yeah.
And be really changed. So they petitioned, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
And
celebrities were getting involved. Yeah. All basically, like, all the descriptions of the kind of people who were petitioning were very derogatory of them. Saying like, yeah, these are all dicks. These are all people that instead of going to a bar and ordering some alcohol, they ask for a glass of perfume and then just sniff it because they're dicks.
I feel like Christian is like a catharsis for him.
Yeah.
His people he has known
in
a previous life.
Yes, I've known people like this.
A different part of the world, maybe dicks, to England, maybe another place.
Yeah, dicks. There have been people who have rehabilitated themselves, become better people, got degrees, and then they really have rehabilitated.
Absolutely.
And there's no reason why anyone should have doubted the court's decision to say, okay, we actually take that into account and we believe, he has. I mean, by evidence states, like, because all his books were about basically purgatory, being in prison, the nature of crime, but the quote he said when he came out of prison was, "That life is now over. Let's get on with the new."
Let's get on with the new. And he
didn't.
No, well, he kind of did in a way. He turned it up to 11.
Yes, well, he did actually. He started as soon as he was released. He started appearing on talk shows as a model rehabilitated prisoner, and he kind of became a bigger celebrity because of that. The plays were being performed. He had his play Scream of Fear went on tour the year he was released. One of his films became a movie. They made a movie of one of his films, Purgatory.
I was just going to say about his release, actually. Sorry, just quickly. I know they were pushing for it and they petitioned for his release, like all these, including a couple of Nobel Prize winners and stuff.
Yeah.
And they wanted, but they couldn't because he had been given a minimum of 15 years.
Yeah.
So they went, well, we can't release him yet. But as soon as he hit that 15-year mark, they released him. As soon as he'd done his minimum term, it seems, at least from reading, it feels like with next to no further follow-up other than just pressure from celebrity and kind of academics.
Then it's like, as far as everyone knew, that was actually, he was doing really well, like movie deals, TV shows, everything was going really well for him. And then the next thing that people knew was in June 91, the year after he was released, Austrian magazine commissioned him to write about LA crime. So he went with his girlfriend at the time, who was 18 years old.
Yes.
And went
the same age as the
last
prostitute
victim,
he killed.
And went on, managed to get the LAPD to give him a few ride-alongs.
Yeah, he did a load of ride-alongs, didn't he? Wasn't he? He was specifically meant to be looking at wasn't it like the rough life that prostitutes, that street prostitutes lived in and around LA?
And which he did.
I mean, he certainly did. He did some research, it appears.
He did some research.
He stayed at this hotel, I would say Cecil, I think Cecil, because it's America. I think Hotel Cecil, or the Cecil Hotel in downtown LA, which is like infamous for murder and suicides and stuff like that. So
just close it.
They probably should have just closed it. It's linked with, they reckon, Elizabeth Short, who was known as the Black Dahlia or Black Dahlia, for unsolved murder from 1947, was apparently spotted drinking there in the days before she was killed. There's another telephone operator called Pigeon Goldie Osgood. Apparently she was a long-term resident of the hotel. It was quite, from what I understand from having read about it previously, I haven't researched it just again. I think that for a long time it was cheap.
Oh, right.
And you had long-term residents would stay there and stuff. So it was
I would say, it was like, guaranteed anonymity, but we know some of the people. Didn't you say that Ramirez stayed there?
Yeah, so we've got this Osgood who apparently she was found dead in her room. She was raped, stabbed and beaten, and her room was ransacked, which is kind of rude. And they arrested someone, and then he was charged but later cleared, also unsolved. And apparently Richard Ramirez was rumoured to have residence there as well. Plus, there's also there's more history with suicides and people jumping from it and stuff like that. It's still open as well. It's called Stay on Main.
Don't visit there.
I was going to stay there when I was in LA last time because it was in downtown LA, like right by Skid Row and stuff. And I was like, maybe I'll give it a wide berth, so I didn't. But I looked it up. I mean, it's on like TripAdvisor and stuff.
But so he was basically staying in a very notorious place.
Also, in 1987, U2 performed an impromptu concert on the rooftop.
Oh wait, that's on that roof, the one from Rattle and Hum. That's very famous.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I fucking hate you too. I don't know.
I hate you too. Jesus.
Unfortunately, Bono didn't.
Bono didn't
throw himself off the top of it.
On the 20th of June, just a few days after he landed, when he was doing all these ride-alongs, staying in a hotel,
being a journalist and a rehabilitated character,
a 35-year-old prostitute called Shannon Exley, her body was found in Boyle Heights. 10 days later, the same neighborhood, Irene Rodriguez, a 33-year-old prostitute, was found. July the 10th, only a few days after that, 26-year-old Peggy Booth was found in Malibu Canyon.
Yeah.
All three were beaten and strangled with their underwear.
Well, that's a quinky dink.
All three were prostitutes.
Yep.
And all three were violated with tree branches.
Yeah, that's horrible. It's funny, isn't it, that he went out there to do some research about the tough life prostitutes have, and just so happened
he did some research.
There was some
He did some research. But then also some accounts mention a fourth victim in San Diego.
Is it an unnamed victim and they can't quite link it?
Well, it died, they said, I think they died with the same MO, but there was no violation with tree branches. The American police, which they're going, well, this could have just been somebody strangling a prostitute, so we can't categorically say it's the same one. Because at the time, they knew nothing of Unterweger. They knew nothing about what he did, who he was.
Sorry if you heard any noise and I was just adjusting my
Oh, that's fine. They can probably hear Echo at the door whining.
Echoing on.
But yeah, so they didn't reckon, I think it was February 92 before America did anything. But then he went back to Austria after this little mishap. I don't know. So he flew back. So he flew back after finishing his research, let's say.
Yeah, did his research.
I thought when I was reading this, I was sort of researching into it, and I got to that point and went, okay, so he waited till he went abroad
to start killing.
Yeah. And then sort of other accounts jump back and start going, then they found this, and it was like, whoa, September the 15th, 1990. So a year before. So he just came out. Well, he came out of prison in March.
He came out May 23rd of May 1990. He was released from prison. So on the 15th of September 1990, Blanka Bukova's body was found in Prague.
Yeah, she was left face down in the Vitova River. strangled with her stockings.
Yes.
Then several weeks later, still in Prague, still in Czech Republic, Brunhilde Masser, she was a prostitute from Graz. She went missing, and 2 months later after that, is it Heidi Marie Hammerer? Mm-hmm. Her body was found in the woods outside of Graz. And then in March 1991, so just before he went to America, Elfriede Schrempf, she went missing, and when she did, a man called her family.
Yes.
Taunting her of her daughter's occupation. She was found in the woods outside of Graz.
Wasn't that as well? They were was that the one they were suspicious of because her number was ex-directory?
Yeah.
So they kind of, the family was suspicious because you wouldn't be able to find her number unless you specifically knew her.
Yeah. So then you've got like them, and you go, okay, so he killed those 4 women, and then went to America. Nope. Because after he went to Czech Republic, he went to Vienna. Well, he was in Vienna. Sylvia Zagler, Sadine Moitzi, Regina Prem, and Karen Erogu
Sladky.
Yeah, I'm sorry for all the people who were mispronouncing your names, but they were all prostitutes who vanished within a month of each other.
Yep. And all of them were strangled with their bras.
Yeah, and the killing stopped as soon as he went to LA. So there was a lot of investigators who didn't believe his lie that he was rehabilitated, and as soon as he went to America and they realized it stopped, they looked into it. But they had to tread really carefully because of his celebrity status.
Yes.
And then
they kept him under surveillance, didn't they? For a while, they were suspicious of him.
Yeah.
And they were looking into him, but like you said, they had to tread carefully because he'd already been found guilty one time before. He had a lot of support, like you say, with academics, the higher kind of strata of
society. And they knew that if they, especially because of the nature of his books about being accused, people being wrongly accused, miscarriage of justice, the fact he was rehabilitated, if they just came out and said, we suspect you of this, the uproar would have been immediate from them. But I do have to go back and say, Blanka Bakova was not a prostitute. That was the only one. I was going
to bring that up. She'd been out on I think Wenceslas Square in Prague drinking with their friends.
Mm-hmm. Which is a nice place. Anyone wants to go? It's a really nice place. But then you've got so when he came back from America, and the Americans were starting to catch on, the Austrian police had already considered their options of what to do. So they raided they planned to raid his Austrian apartment.
Yes.
But one of his friends tipped
him off.
Who would basically had friends within the police force.
Because again, obviously, because we keep putting this forward, but he was a celebrity. Even if it was a minor celebrity, he was a celebrity. He had people in he had friends in high places, and people all around.
So he got wind of what was happening. So by the time they got there and the SWAT teams bust into his apartment, he was gone.
He was long gone. Him and his girlfriend had already
they fucked off across Switzerland, France, and Canada, and then went back to the States.
They went to Miami, didn't they?
They did.
And do you know why they went to Miami?
I did read this.
Because they were fans of
Miami fucking Vice, Don
Johnson. So they went, let's go Miami.
You know she made him roll his sleeves up, right?
I do reckon he was in a suit with rolled up sleeves.
But then, along the way, he was calling the Austrian media, proclaiming his innocence, and also taunting the police.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's like phoning him up, going like, I didn't do it, but maybe I did do it. Yeah. You can't catch me, but I didn't do it.
But then, of course, he was an amateur at what he was really doing, because he doesn't know how to hide from police. He hadn't got a fucking clue, because they followed his credit card receipts.
I read all this. Because up till that point, I was... Impressed isn't the right word, but he'd gotten away. He'd travelled across Europe and got to America. I'm thinking he's doing a pretty good job. But then they tracked him down
just quite easily.
Just credit card receipts.
But then I love the fact that a lot of it, for anyone out there who goes around researching topics after you listen to them, for all these sites that you go on, do not take them as 100% truth. Because this is one example of differences of sources. One of them said... oh, yes, and he was captured without a fight after they tracked him down in Miami. But then it turns out he tried to ran through a restaurant after fleeing the Western Union office where his girlfriend's mother had sent them money.
Had him some money.
And he ran through a restaurant, and they arrested him in the parking lot. So I would say it was with a fight. Literally with a fight.
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe he ran away and then they caught him and he went, okay.
But I would say the nature, if you're running away, that's putting up a fight. Whether it's physical or...
Yeah, he is evaded arrest.
Like people's reporting on this, for such a mental thing, it's quite...
and fairly recent as well. Like, so the arrest in... the States was in '92.
Yeah, which isn't that long ago.
I mean, it's fairly modern in like reporting wise.
Yeah,
everything is.
He available. Was in custody. He was charged with killing 11 women. The 3 in LA, 2 more in Czechoslovakia, but they didn't want to charge him, so they didn't charge him for all the women. So they caught him in Miami, but because the murders were in California, where he was doing the
reporting,
they had to they wanted to try him there. But then after he was caught, wasn't tried straight away. It took 2 years for them to bring it to court.
Yes, I think he was deported to Austria, but then they spent 2 years kind of arguing or deciding on jurisdiction for the case.
Yeah, I mean, basically, the Americans wanted to try him in California because the murders were in California. The Austrians wanted to try him. The Czechoslovakians didn't want him at all. They basically didn't want the furore of like all the media press.
I guess they were pretty comfortable. One of them was going to get him.
Yeah, and I do have to say I did fuck up earlier on everyone. When I was going through the list of everyone that he killed in Czech Republic and Vienna, I was saying that Graz was in Czech Republic. It's not.
It's in Austria.
Yeah, it's in Austria, and I fucked that up. So whatever.
That's okay. Same continent though. They're not that far apart.
But yeah, basically he was. They charged him with killing 11 women. In all, that was Shannon Exley, Irene Rodriguez, Peggy Booth, Sylvia Zagler, Sabine Moitzi, Regina Prem, Karen Eroglu. I can't pronounce the end of that. Blanka Bakova, Brunhilde Masseur, Heidi Marie Hammerer, and Elfriede Schrempf. That's the 11 that he killed, that he was charged with killing. So after the Americans decided they would only allow him to give jurisdiction to the Austrians if they tried him for the crimes committed in their country, which is kind of unheard of.
Yeah, it's unusual, isn't it? I thought that. It's kind of... I'm glad, though. Like, I'm glad that they came to that arrangement and agreement and said, okay.
The trial wasn't until June 94 when they confirmed everything of what was going to happen, who he was going to be tried for. Because bear in mind, they had to send all the evidence they've got for their crimes to because Austrians had to prepare the evidence.
Absolutely.
So their police had to validate the
they sent some guys over from Quantico and stuff, didn't they?
They did, to help out.
To help out in the case and things like that.
Because, Austrians have never had anyone
really bad
coming from
that. But they sent some people over from the Behavioural Science Unit.
The BSU. The first time I have ever heard of this kind of defense.
Go on.
Why would I kill?
Yeah, I like that. He's like, why would I kill? Like, I've got... Basically, wasn't he... Without quoting him, because I haven't got the quote in front of me, but I know basically it was just like, I'm rich and famous and successful now. Why would I have to kill anyone?
Yeah.
Why would I bother? And didn't then the guys from the Behavioural Science Unit were like, yeah, but you're a narcissistic personality. You got narcissistic personality disorder. That's why you kill. Logic and reason is irrelevant in this.
And he was basically, it's really good. He was found guilty of 9 counts.
Mm-hmm.
And
1 ha.
No ha.
2 ha. So I'm not going to do to 9 counts. That's quite a lot of counts.
That'd be a lot of counts.
I can't believe I've never done that before.
Oh, but yeah. So he was.
Sorry.
So he was guilty of 9 counts. I mean, 2 of them. I don't know the details. I've been trying to find details on the judges. Well, obviously they're not going to have it because unlike in English crimes when they have the judge's remarks where you can see exactly what they're tried for. This one just says 9 counts. I can't find anything about who
wasn't found guilty of and why. But also this is another one of those instances, isn't it? When the judge often in those cases the judge will give their closing comments and it will kind of guide.
It'll
guide people a little bit or whatever, and they'll decide, like, you know what, instead of trying to get him for all 11, let's get him on the ones that we can pin him on, and that'll be enough because he's not getting out this time.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it sucks for the people that he's found not guilty of killing, but ultimately what's done is he is behind bars.
I mean, it's there's complete aside to this, but goes back to something we once did on one of our episodes. Guess how tall he was?
Is he not a large man?
He is not a large man.
5'6".
Exactly 5'6".
I honestly didn't know that. Oh shit! I ruined the game.
Yeah, but no, you're good at the game. But bear in mind that he was a very slight man. He wasn't well built. He was considered to have boyish looks. He was 5'6". Like, really, he must have had some fury in him to be able to...
Yeah.
Like, because, these women he killed, do you think one of them would have been strong enough to... No, I was going to say beat him off, but...
Put him up? No. Beat him away. Yeah. Maybe he chose his victims knowingly as well. Probably. Yeah. I'm sure he wouldn't have... If there was like a formidable large woman, he wouldn't have chosen her because he knew he wasn't going to have a good chance of overpowering her.
Yeah, and also, there's a lot of what we've said might not be the case. Might be a lie. Because...
Good. Excellent. I'm glad we haven't wasted our time on this.
I know, but
this isn't all...
The grandfather being abusive and being a druggie and alcoholic and beating him, it was only said by him.
This is, no proof. This is very typical as well, isn't it? A lot of stuff we've come up with is just from there.
I read everywhere that he was abandoned at birth. But he says that his mother abused drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. See, this is probably, at the start, and I said maybe his mum told him about where his dad had gone, and you said he was abandoned at birth. I didn't follow it up because I doubted myself, but I was sure I remembered that she was she'd been reported as an addict and stuff as well. So,
but then all of that was disputed by her family.
Yeah,
they were still alive. I mean, yes, he was raised by the grandfather, but the rest of them were still alive. He was declared, the actual diagnosis was a sexually sadistic psychopath with narcissistic and histrionic tendencies, tends to fits of rage and anger. And that was Dr. Klaus Jarosch. He's basically referred to as a disorganized thrill killer.
Yes.
That's what distances him from other people I mean, bear in mind, between 9 and 11 people is a shit ton of people to murder. At least
say he killed 11 people in about a year. It's like almost one a month.
Yeah,
that's quite a lot of murderings.
And he also
murderings. I'm pretty sure that's the plural.
And he also went abroad, wrote some articles, did actual work.
Yeah,
did traveling and all
I'm really bad. If I've got a couple of things that are kind of important and high on my schedule, I either do none of them or completely ignore one of them.
But he lived in walking distance to most of his crimes.
Yeah, and the crimes in America that he did in California, they could link him to hotels within very close proximity as well to where he was killing. So he kind of didn't put much effort in. He just stayed locally.
There was
bit of a homebody, I guess.
He was the one thing he did do is with most of these prostitutes that they could actually check is that he had paid for sex with them, but he killed them after. So there was no signs of rape on them, but there was signs of sexual intercourse.
Yeah, okay, it makes sense.
And the only time he had, I would say, it's a weird thing to say, but the only time of torturing and not just strangling was the first one when he beat her with the iron bar.
And that apparently, though, I think he raped her with the iron bar with an iron bar as well.
He also redressed certain victims.
Oh yeah,
which was strange, seeing as some of them were just naked, face up. Some of them were covered with leaves. Some of them he literally put all the clothes back on.
Yeah,
and I don't know whether that's a guilt thing or
I wonder maybe. I mean, it's hard, isn't it? But maybe we just.
Oh, by the way, it wasn't covered with leaves so they can't see them. It literally was a few leaves
just some
scattered.
Leaves over them, yeah.
Like a handful.
It's weird, isn't it? Maybe the ones he reclothed, he felt something for a little bit, maybe because they were nicer or younger or something. I don't know. It's trying to make sense of something that doesn't really make sense.
But there was never any attempt to hide the bodies. They were always
not really. Dump them a bit out the way, but not
in the woods on the side of a riverbank. It wasn't I'm going to put these in a place where no one goes.
No, he didn't try and weigh them down and put them in the lake or dig a hole or cut them up.
No, nothing like that.
We can probably go through. I should probably stop going through the lists of various ways to dispose of bodies.
But so he's a strange one in so many aspects because to me it reads like a film. That this is somebody who doesn't understand serial killers has tried to create their own serial killer and come up with this.
Yeah,
because you'd sit there and go, well. No, you wouldn't get away with it that long. I mean, there's no concerted effort to hide what he's doing?
No, if you watch this from beginning to end, like saying in a movie or a TV series or something, and you were like, and it started off, he's just been released from prison. And then it would go back and tell his story briefly, and you'd be like, oh, killed someone, had a rough upbringing, and you build some empathy in, and then turns out he becomes a serial killer, goes to the States and kills people, comes back, manages to get back to Miami. You'd be like, this is ridiculous.
But you would also
someone would notice.
You'd also think it'd be over years. This was over 10 months.
Yeah, it would be unbelievable. It would be it'd be stupid.
I mean, the first person after being released, the first person they know he killed was in September 1990. The last one was in July 91. it was like this. Everything was apart from the ones before he got released from before he was arrested and originally put in prison.
Yeah, but that's potentially that's around 11 bodies in 10 months.
I mean, he didn't even. And also, like, but I'm thinking of this like pragmatically, like.
Yeah. That's why I often think
like,
of it.
Say you've come out of jail. You are now renowned in your country. You are looked up to. People are making films of your books. They're putting on plays of your books. You're the toast of the town. You've been sent to do journalism abroad to America. You can literally have the world in your hand at that point. You can make the most of it that you want. He was doing that and killing 10 people.
I know, it's nuts, isn't it? But I mean, I guess it goes back to the whole narcissistic thing. He probably, I bet. Well, we would look at it and maybe give you would give the defense that he gave of why would I do this, because I'm free and I'm successful. But that's not taken into account his narcissistic personality. The fact he already feels he's better than everyone, and now people are telling him you're better than everyone.
But how did he manage to actually do well at the other one? Like the murder's fine, you could say the narcissist thing, but he did well at the other thing. He didn't it wasn't at the sake of it. He didn't it didn't.
Yeah. But no, I think we're trying to
relate it to us. We could only do one thing
logically. Yeah, I can barely do one thing well at any time. Yeah. So I think that's it.
We're trying our hardest. I mean, this one it is a huge case.
Yeah, it's funny. I think we both struggled a little bit with it because it's a massive case. It's not that old, but I found like the reporting on it only covers in detail, at least from we found. Like snapshots of information.
Yeah.
And some of that is contradictory. So it's hard to kind of get to the ultimate truth of it.
Yeah, I mean, there is books written on it, but I mean, that one of the books was performed on stage by John Malkovich playing Unterweger.
Yeah.
And since 2016, a film with Fassbender has been in development hell. They keep saying it's going to be made, probably won't be made. I mean, it is a really interesting story, but at the same point, it's too unbelievable. And the way it's been reported has been like a movie because it's kind of as you said, a snapshot of little bits. Like it's like I'm reading a script where you just sit there and go, "Well, that's
this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened." Yeah. Like fast paced snapshots.
But at least if we're gonna do where are they now?
Where are they now?
It did have. I mean. It ends like he was basically
on the 29th of June 1994. Unterweger was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. So at least, as I was saying before, actually, they found him guilty of only 9 of the 11, but that was enough to put him away forever. He was never going to see the light of day again. So okay,
fine. I mean,
so that's it. Is it? He's in prison. He's in So he's so
he was 43 at this point.
Graaskala prison. That's right. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. Wasn't he?
That's where he went, so I assume he's there now?
Yeah, well, so. I mean, how's he doing? Writing more books?
Unless anything else happened to him.
I don't know. Let's have
Maybe
a look.
Almost immediately. So, 29th of June, 94,
the day
sentenced
after.
to life in prison.
Oh,
no, and that night, I'm pretty sure, I think he was found the following day. But that night, all the early hours of the morning, 29th or 30th, he hanged himself. He made a rope of shoelaces and a cord from his trousers of a tracksuit. What I picture as well is because he had no cord in his trousers and he hung himself, his trousers fell down and he's just swinging there with his dick swinging in the air. Oh. Trousers around his ankles, shit coming out of his arse.
I like that. I like that idea.
And you know what as well?
What?
When they found him, he'd used the exact same knot that he'd used in all the other killings. Every other killing that was attributed to him used the same knot, and when he killed himself, used the same knot. Also,
for
actually,
such a narcissist, why would he kill himself? It's a really
because he can't admit being wrong. I guess not wrong. He can't be seen to losing face.
Or Epstein didn't kill himself.
Oh, was it the same people? Unterweger didn't kill himself.
They were both guilty as fuck, but didn't kill himself.
Also, this is interesting as well. Before his death, before he committed suicide, Unterweger has said that he was going to seek an appeal, and therefore. Under Austrian law, if you say you're going to seek an appeal, your guilty verdict isn't considered legally binding.
Wait, so but he did this after the...
So you're found guilty, then you say, well, I'm going to lodge an appeal. So they go, okay, we'll hold you, obviously, but your guilty verdict isn't...
It's basically commuted until...
Is commuted until you are found, until you go through your appeals.
Then exactly, so he wouldn't have killed himself.
Because he killed himself...
Yeah. He's not guilty.
It's not he's not legally binding. That guilty verdict wasn't legally binding because they couldn't do it, and then he killed himself. Which
I mean, if he killed himself because of that, like saying if I kill myself, I won't be found guilty.
Technically, I'm not guilty. That's like when you turn the computer game off as you lose, but before it goes to the next screen.
And
like,
I didn't lose.
Turned it off, didn't lose, didn't finish. Like on FIFA, just before it ends, I turned it off.
I didn't do it.
Yeah. So yeah. As his
fucking hell.
What is it? As his guilty verdict had not been reviewed and confirmed by the court, not considered legally binding after his death.
And it's like, but that's another thing. Like, that's really all we know about it. Like, it's like that quick, and it's like, well, that's another little snapshot. Like, there's no details. There's no like. I wanted to know more.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually know enough to even picture him in my head as a real person. Like,
no.
With people like, say, Belfield and that, you literally get a sense of who the fuck they are, and it's horrible. This one, nothing. He's just a murdering narcissist, but that's it.
Little turd.
But
I mean, I guess the bigger story, I suppose, is the way that he and other
celebrity.
people would do better than us at conveying that. Probably is the way that he fooled a country, not a country, but managed to fool through his writings just by being. I think it's quite interesting. Just by being eloquent.
But teaching yourself to be eloquent.
Yeah. So by being intelligent and being eloquent, he managed to fool a lot of people, which is really bad. Also a really good skill to have.
But also the larger question is, right, if he managed to not get... you got away with it for 10 months or whatever, and was very prolific in that time, and he was a celebrity.
Yes.
How many actual celebrities do get away with it? There is definitely, without a doubt, there is a celebrity out there that all of us have heard of somewhere that is a serial killer.
I think of this sometimes. There was a song by Scroobius Pip years ago, and it said and it was a completely fictional thing about writing from the viewpoint of being Johnny Depp, and saying about like how like when you go away, you love your wife, or whatever, but when you go away, you can have anyone you want, and it's really hard to be sexually kind of and not cheat. And then it like the chorus says like, my name's Johnny Depp and I kill people, and it says about him like going around and killing people, but because he has this front of being a famous celebrity, and he travels for work anyway, and he's all over the place, how no one would pick him up.
Fucking hell.
And I think, so I often think about this exactly that thought. I've had exactly that thought of like, what if he has? Or what if other people... I reckon Johnny Depp might have done.
No, who knows?
Like,
but there's so many people out there that you always sit...
I don't think Johnny Depp's killed people. Like, I'm putting this out there now. But no,
But like, nobody would have read Unterweger's autobiography, and they would have known he had killed someone in his youth, and it was a prostitute and it was violent, it was awful, but nobody would have thought he was actually like a killer. Yeah. Because it was like, oh, that was youth, and he's rehabilitated. Yeah. But there's like what you see isn't who people are. So all these celebrities out there, whether they've written books, painted pictures, directed films, acted in films, done whatever, singers in a band.
You feel like you know them because they're in the public eye,
and you judge them by their art and what they produce. But that's not them.
Absolutely.
And it's
really interesting. Yeah, I really like. I don't want them to have murdered anyone, but if they have, I really would love for like one or two to come out, like for it to come out, be found out about at some point, just be like. What?
I mean, also, bear in mind, there are loads of celebrities that have been found, like like Epstein thing's a prime person. Like, there's somebody in an influence power that could have basically had whatever he wanted, but what he wanted was entirely illegal and gross and wrong.
Yes.
Now, that's it seems a lot of the ones knowledge out there are sexually related, whether it's paedophilia or whether it's just
like sexual perversions.
Sexual perversions really is what it's aimed at, or drugs, which is of course illegal as well. But there has to be. Look, probability means there are many of them. I mean, there's loads of celebrities that have murdered.
Yes.
As in, like, whether accidental, like Broderick running someone
over.
I was
going to say, if you'd like to hear more about crimes in Hollywood,
listen to our episode.
Crimes in Hollywood.
Yes. But there's things like that. Like, there is definitely 100% an actor or an actress or a singer that mainly singers. There are singers that have killed people. In fact, if you want to know about from singers or people in bands, listen to our episode, Crimes in Music.
Yes.
But it's just fascinating that the nature of celebrity created him.
It's funny because in some ways we treat celebrities really harsh because they're in the public eye for certain things. I say we, collectively, whatever, like in the press and stuff like or whatever. But in other ways, you don't want to believe that they're bad people, that they have flaws and foibles to that extent. We think they're like shit and like just arrogant maybe, or we think they're like they get drunk and they're rude to people, or they're like womanizers or whatever. Yeah, but there's a certain thing where you go, but they're like cool in their eyes. I don't murder people.
I'm about to put a a proposition for you. It's a little question.
Oh dear. Oh, right. Okay.
Let's say there is...
Would you rather? No.
There is a person, male or female, doesn't matter. They kicked a dog to death.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got punished for it.
Yep.
And then as soon as they're out of jail for kicking the dog to death, the media, someone in the media, gets them to write an article about dogs. Does that seem stupid to you?
It seems a bit close to the knuckle.
So why the fuck would any Austrian paper send him to cover prostitutes of all people? He literally doesn't he kills them.
It's like if you asked Varg Vikernes to write an article on like nationalism and murdering your friends.
Yeah.
What do you think the effects on what do you think the behaviour is of like nationalists, far right neo-Nazis, and how annoying they find their friends and whether they murder them?
Here's a knife. Here's a friend.
Yeah.
But it's literally going up to them going, well, here's a prostitute. What do you think of this? What do you think? What's that in your hand? Oh, is it a tree branch? I mean,
send like fucking Epstein on a thing to write about.
Yeah, put him on
about like
Island paedophilia.
Island paedophilia. Yeah. Trafficking. That's what. Yeah. Sex. Get Epstein before he was murdered to write an article on sex trafficking of underage girls.
I understand if it was an article on, I want you to write about prostitutes as you see them, as you know them. Basically, an exploration of a subject you know about.
Insight based on what his experiences are.
Because he's written about
things
it
that he's done
previously. So
but not a
all expenses paid trip to another country.
There's a difference between sending him as a researcher and journalist, as opposed to interviewing him or getting his insights into it.
I mean, it's basically poking the bear. The whole thing of this seems so stupid.
I feel like it could have been avoided.
It could have been avoided. But yes, and also, never fucking heard of him before you sent me a link.
No, I'd never heard of him either.
Not a thing.
It was, I can't even remember where I found it. Probably on Reddit. And it's I love the fact one of his names, like, apart from he's called Jack, one of his killer's names, one of them was the Poet of Death, which is not threatening. The Poet of Death.
Hello, I'm the Poet of Death.
Is that like the Poet Laureate of Death?
Yeah.
Like he keeps you around to write poems about death, about poems.
Skulls, bones, and flesh. I can't rhyme that.
It was also called Jack the Writer, which is just so shit. It's so lazy.
That is basically like Sun newspaper, midnight. They're just trying to think something. Go, Jack the Writer. That's good enough. Because I don't know if he referred to himself as Jack or whether that's a media thing coined from that. Where they went, well, we're not going to call him Johann. That's a very foreign-sounding name.
Oh, probably, yeah.
So let's call him Jack. Oh, Jack the Writer. Because they don't call that Johann the Writer.
No. And also the Vienna Strangler, which is fine.
To be fair, what he is.
Descriptive.
But then when you look at, when you look at sort of pictures or videos of him, he's a little twat.
Yeah, one knobhead.
He's a fucking little knobhead.
I mean, they all are.
But also, he was younger than me when he died by a year.
And what have you achieved?
I have killed I have not killed one person. Not one. I know I'm a loser.
I did a loser sign.
I have respect for human life. What kind of piece of shit am I?
Fucking
hell.
No kind of...
I've got no ambition.
No ambition. No ambition.
But yeah, I mean, this week's episode is a short one because of that.
But we still wanted to cover it because we really found it interesting.
And it's too long for a short one.
And too short for a long one.
Too short for a long one.
It's a middle one.
So yeah, we're going to sign off here and revel in the fact that he killed himself like a fucking coward. Or didn't, like Epstein didn't kill himself.
No, yeah. Murdered.
Yeah.
So, as always, please find us on all of the less socials.
And echo1pod.com, our website, which is basically just our podcast hub. Listen to us on all your... Recommend us.
Yeah, recommend us. Please leave us a 5-star review. That would be wonderbar.
Yep.
And
you don't have to say anything. You don't have to put comments. You don't have to think about it.
Or just say anything. Like the 5-star review is the important bit. So if you go like 5 stars, this podcast smells like nails and cats. It doesn't matter. I
just
don't know
copy and paste the lyrics to your favourite song in there.
That'd be really good, and we can judge you on your song choices.
Yeah, and we go.
That'd be really funny.
This person gave us 5 stars. They've put "Fix You" by Coldplay.
Oh, I've got an.
I just sicked a bit.
Yeah, I feel ill. What would be good is if you could do it with the most disgusting lyrics you can find, then Christian can read them out.
We did actually get a lovely bit of feedback from me.
Yes.
This is good. We got on Twitter, Mrs. Dr. Richard H. Thorndike at Tracer Racer X wrote, "I'm lolling at Christian's dramatic reading of Paul Cannon's text because he sounds like Barbara from the League of Gentlemen. Actually, the whole case is very Royston Vasey. This is in about the the murder of William Taylor episode.
Yes.
Episode 24. That comment I loved more than anything, mainly because I love League of Gentlemen.
Yeah, we both love
also,
League of Gentlemen.
I had no fucking idea that that's the impression I was doing.
Yeah.
For all this time, every time, because I can't do regional northern accents, it's always the same one. It's always that one. Always goes
It's definitely Babs.
Basically
100%.
Barbara. Babs Cabs. So yeah, thank you so much for that. That was an amazing
Could you say
comment.
It were great in your accent?
It were great.
There we go. I've been Chris.
I've been Christian.
And this has been Echo One.
Good night.
Bye.
Words I say.